All right, we're going to go ahead and start with the sound check. All right, all right. Here we go. Good evening. If I could get just, we're going to go ahead and start with the sound.
Sorry.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start with the sound check. So if I could get just one thumbs up or a balloon or some crazy emoji or whatever they're called, emoticon.
Emoji.
Right, just to let me know that we can be heard. Just one thumbs up would be good.
Something would be great.
Yeah, I know the video's good, and I could hear us through there, so I know we're actually good. All right, so here we go. Good evening. If it matters to you, it matters to me. I'm Chris Lukasevich, candidate for Carbon County Commissioners, and you're watching Carbon Matters live streaming. I'm joined by my wife, Maggie, my wife and co-host, Maggie. We're every 2 weeks, so bi-weekly, we have a conversation amongst ourselves, amongst all of us, both here at C4 headquarters on the 1200 block of Center Street in Jim Thorpe, and our virtual informed citizens of Carbon County and beyond. And I always like to mention, you know, more or less it's a threefold task or challenge that we have. That purpose clearly, right? We want to discuss the issues. We want to have that conversation. We want to make ourselves better informed voters, so when we go to the election booth or to the polls on 5 November, we can make the best informed decision possible. And not so selfishly, this serves as a platform for me to present my views and perspective on the issues that are important to the citizens of Carbon County. And we can have that conversation also throughout the next about 58 minutes while we're live here. I always want to emphasize the importance.
Can someone just write a comment, because I have not had a single comment yet, so I have no idea if, I mean, we know that there's 7 people, but I want to make sure that we can see comments.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's popping up.
Yeah, because I haven't gotten a single one.
Okay, well, I wouldn't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? Comments come, comments go. I'm very happy to entertain myself for 60 minutes.
We just want to make sure if people have questions or comments that
they can be seen.
Yeah. That we can talk about them.
Right. So, or you always have the chance after the show at 9 o'clock to call 570-503-6780, other than between 5:30 and 7:30 when we're having dinner, getting Molly bathed and ready for bed. Pretty much that number is open and available for a conversation. As always, I want to emphasize to Maggie's left, my right rear, you can see Ruiz Coffee. Ruiz Coffee, RuizCoffee.com. That's where you can order the official coffee of C4, Chris for Carbon County Commissioner. Please support one of my strongest sponsors of Carbon Matters and C4 Chris for Carbon County Commissioner. I also do want to make a plug. This will be the last week that I'll be advocating for a good read. So this is available. Judge Janine's book on radicals, resistance, and revenge. I know many individuals had the opportunity to see her just a little over 2 weeks ago up at Penn's Peak. So this book remains available. It is an autograph, and autographed copies are available. If you just contact me offline at chris@c4commissioner.org or 570-503-6780, I'll get you in contact with the supplier for these personally signed books from Judge Janine. The cost is $25 for those books. And we do have our copy right here. So I encourage you to do a little bit more reading to expand your horizons. All right, let's go ahead. Let's jump into the matters that matter most to all of us, because that's what this program and opportunity is all about. And I'm going to start a little bit, I hope, with the lighter news and get into the heavy stuff. Although as I look at my order, I had some real heavy stuff up front. And I did spend time, about 30 minutes, going through organizing and highlights. But first I do want to mention, now I know why. All right. I noticed that the Special Olympics manager here in Carbon County is expecting some significant growth in the programs. They're going to actually be expanding the number of sports that are going to be offered for Special Olympics. Matter of fact, for the Special Olympics in Carbon County, they're looking at long distance walking and running, unified flag football, I don't know if that's male, female combined, I'm guessing, gymnastics, and even snowboarding. They normally run that during the Jim Thorpe holiday weekend. I don't know how the snowboarding is going to work during May, but maybe they'll work through that or do that in the winter alone. It does cost about $11,000 to run the Special Olympics here in Carbon County, so if you have an opportunity to volunteer or contribute, please consider that. That's the Special Olympics of Carbon County. We had breakfast this morning with one of the members of the Palmerton Fishing and Hunting Association. Right?
His dad was a founding member.
Was a founding member. And that's a small group. Now it's actually just down to, I believe, about 39 men and women who use a large area in Palmerton. I saw the acreage mentioned here, son of a gun. It was a pretty...
500.
Was it? That very large for the Palmerton Hunting and Fishing Club. But the reason I bring this up also is because they are in litigation with the wind turbine people who are proposing for Bethlehem Water Authority. Seems like they were proposing on their layout some of the turbines actually on this property.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly, but that is in litigation. So congratulations to the Palmerton Fishing and Hunting Association for their 100th year anniversary.
I feel bad, but I don't see any comments.
Then why should you feel bad?
Because I think people might be commenting, but for some reason it's not showing.
Well, do you want to try to get back onto your system?
I could try that.
Okay. All right. I want to continue to keep it on the light side here for another minute or two. We did have a recent recognition of Clarence Moyer, 96, a World War II veteran from Lehighton. He was granted.
See, there's 12 comments.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
How is that happening?
I don't know.
And you can't see him.
I can't see him.
Okay. So Clarence Moyer, 96 of Lehighton, issued the Bronze Star Medal for his actions in World War II. And we've talked about Clarence a couple times. Wonderful individual, American. Congratulations on his being awarded the Bronze Star.
I loved that he got tricked into being there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I thought that was great that
unbeknownst to him
that he was gonna, I mean, and that's true humility, how he doesn't really think.
Yeah, and very down-to-earth individual, right? Incredibly so. So this past weekend, we had the opportunity to go up to Lansford. They've combined their festivals, Grace Community Church and Lansford Alive. Actually, we were up there for about an hour and a half with our daughter Molly. A great event. Weather was really good. Good music, good food, and excellent people up there in Lansford who we ran into. And Maggie continues to have technical difficulties with the commenting, being able to see the commenting. Normally when you turn your iPad sideways...
I know, Chris, but
Okay. All right. Franklin Township is hearing some complaints. I hear there's a duck problem taking place. Franklin Township hear complaints about ducks. So sorry to hear that they're having duck problems. I'm sure it's not going to get any better as the geese start heading south. A little bit of business. Vale Corporation, or Vale Resorts Incorporated.
Right, taking over.
Right, Big Boulder and Jack Frost.
Frost.
They're going to invest about $15 million over the next 2 years into those 2 ski resorts. We have had some challenges with businesses up along the 940 corridor, State Route 940 corridor. So hopefully the investment by Vale Resorts, Vale Resorts will
now I can
increase.
see the comments.
Okay, well, good. So So do we, go
Thanks,
ahead.
Mary Ann. She's the one who said, go to your phone.
Oh, when all else fails, go to your iPhone.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
So-
Andy's on with Carrie and Eddie.
Okay, well, thank you
Hi,
for
Andy.
joining us.
Yeah.
So continuing on, this is Carbon Matters live streaming. I'm Chris Lukasevich, candidate for Carbon County Commissioner. I'm joined with Maggie, my wife and co-host, where we're discussing the issues that have mattered most to the residents of Carbon County in about the last 2 weeks. And our sources are the local newspapers, conversations, attendance at the public meetings such as the Board of Commissioners, prison, salary, retirement, election board meetings, and then out to some of the municipalities and the engagements that I've been having since starting to canvass here the last couple weeks. Incredibly, we got out, we saw on September 23rd, construction had begun in Kidder Township of the
wow.
1/3 mile, the first 1/3 mile
Yeah, we
of
just
their
happened
trail.
to go out there.
We were out there for breakfast about a week prior. We
Right.
saw this ad
Yep.
or this news article,
And it was already done.
and then it was basically done a week or 2 weeks later.
on the news.
Yeah, it was just Blue Ridge Cable did a segment, and had Bing LaFawn and Barb Francosa, two of the individuals or supervisors out there who were critical
It's
in
amazing.
establishing
It's really
this
wide.
first stretch of the trail.
Yep.
Right? So congratulations for the first 1/3 mile in completion out there in Kidder Township.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick. Welcome. Good to see you joining us this evening. Turbines, wind turbines are always an issue. Since our last
Getting heavy.
I'm sorry?
You're getting heavy.
What does that mean, getting heavy?
You know how you.
Like building up into a little bit deeper.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was it. Yeah.
An abrupt
Trail.
turn?
Turbine.
Yeah, trail turn. But they both start with T and have an R in it. TRTUR. So wind turbines had 2 hearings up in Packer Township over the past 2 weeks. I believe it was 2. 2 in 1 week, actually. I know they brought one subject matter expert who was really talking about, are the turbines of standard type of the industry. I was actually up there to the first time he presented, and that meeting got cut short because of lack of air conditioning. So now this gentleman came back to kind of finish his testimony. Then there was also a second session that included graphics or photographs of when the balloon test took place. And that was Molly and I ran around Nesquehoning, Lansford, Summit Hill, Lake Hotto, Nesquehoning, up into Weatherly, Packer Township, looking to see where we could see the balloons from, which were tethered up to give a general idea of where the turbines would be placed and their approximate height. And they could pretty much be seen from a lot of those places without much of a problem. And those were not very large.
They were 12 feet across.
Was that it? I don't want to state it because I can't remember now. But
that's it.
okay. But again, turbines continue to stay in the news in Packer Township as it should. Do I want to talk anything else about turbines? The next meeting, the last thing I heard was October 29th for the next meeting. That seems like a long way off. But I will go ahead and check the record on that, and then I'll post something on that. But we did have a spat of them real quick. So, again, need to be conscious.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Susan. Thank you for joining. Okay. Thank you for joining us. This is Carbon Matters live streaming from the C4 headquarters in the 1200 block of Center Street in Jim Thorpe. And if you physically can't make it over here, first and foremost, I'll tell you, it's easy to identify the headquarters building, right? You'll know it when you see it, right? So I don't even have to give the specific address. 1200 block of Center Street in Jim Thorpe. If you can't make it here physically,
there's banners and
all
signs
kinds of
everywhere.
You will know it when you see it. You see it when you know it, right? But also, if you can engage with us virtually like you are right now, or always feel free to call 570-503-6780, except between about 5:30 and 7:30. The election deadline is nearing. We're about, which I had my phone, I believe it's 33 days in a wake up to the election, 5 November, that's the general election. A couple deadlines you should be aware of. Right, registration, October 7th is the cutoff. That's 4 days away. So basically by Monday, for registration, which is 30 days prior.
Okay.
However, absentee ballot,
is
right?
29th, right?
Last day to apply for an absentee ballot, 5 p.m. on 29 October.
October, yeah.
5 p.m. on 29 October. So if you're not registered to vote, please register to vote. If you need an absentee ballot, please apply. I highly encourage, which much easier, to go on the Pennsylvania Bureau of Elections website and request the absentee ballot electronically versus mailing it in. And do it just like that. And I have provided that information on the C4 Facebook page. Although I do always carry absentee ballot applications with me when I'm out canvassing. I've turned in, I think, two of those so far here in this past week to folks who are going to be voting for absentee. I'm sorry?
John.
Okay. Hi, John. So I do understand there's a high possibility of an increase in absentee ballot. Talking to folks out there, they're a little concerned with the new voting procedures.
They're afraid it's going to be too complicated and have to learn it. So a lot of, especially you're saying elderly.
Yeah, senior citizens.
Senior citizens.
Yeah, exactly. So I did also post the video that demonstrates how the process will work. More or less, you're going to be given what's called a Scantron card, what we refer to it as, fill in, pencil in, or mark in the bubbles, beside the candidate you want to select. Once you've filled in all your bubbles, you as the voter have to go ahead, place that in a scanner. A machine, the scanner will scan it, and then drop it into a box or repository.
I thought there was a photo taken before that.
Well, there's a photo taken. There's also a photo taken of that. When it's scanned, it's taken a photo. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's what it does. It scans it, it takes a photo. Right. But no, you're absolutely right. And it did say that here. Yeah. I was just reading that again. The folder contains that. But once the ballot is completed, it takes it to the scanner and scan it. The ballot will automatically be dropped in a bin attached to the scanner after it is scanned. And this says an additional photo will be taken of each completed ballot.
That's what I was saying.
Well, what's this additional? How is it additional? Once it drops into that box, I need to go back and look at the training tape.
Okay, because watching the video.
Yeah, right.
The lady went over to the scanner.
Right. She put it.
I think even before it went in the scanner, they took a photo of it, and then
they took a photo. Who? You can't. It's a secret ballot. Right. So let's look into that. I'll go back through the videotape. Talking about wind turbines. Oh, we already did that. But that's about alternative energies. I'm a big supporter of alternative energies.
So we're not dependent on the Middle East.
That's right. From a national security perspective, I don't want wind turbines on the ridgelines in Carbon County. I think it destroys the aesthetic quality, and it does negatively impact property values. Where you can see them, your property value will drop. That's my position on there. So I'm against them here in Carbon County, and it is contrary to the spirit and the letter of the Carbon County Comprehensive Plan that says we'll protect our ridgeline. But nonetheless, I saw 3 Mile Island shutdown is imminent.
Right.
So that shutdown process is taking place.
Although we heard from someone that has a brother that works there that it's going to take 60 years for them to shut it down.
Well, that's, again,
dismantling and all that.
Oh, right, and all the radioactive material, transporting it out and stuff like that. So, but nonetheless, if you're looking for probably the cleanest alternative energy fuel out there, nuclear is it. I think it's somewhat a shame that we are so hesitant to embrace it. And you have the same folks who are fighting against carbon-based energies are the same ones who fight against nuclear energy, unfortunately, and I don't really understand that argument. Oh my gosh, so we had Mrs. Llewellyn would have been a week ago today, raised an issue about the 23 acres being transferred. Carbon donates acreage to Lehighton. So that seems like it's a fait accompli. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. Right? I saw right to know information that was provided. And I'm going to read from this because this says, here it is.
The reason there's a problem, or what seemingly a problem, an issue here, is because the Packard and Yards was paid for by the taxpayers for the
potential economic development.
Right, but for the commissioners to randomly, whatever, for the commissioners to just decide on their own without, to give it away, like not even lease it or sell it to Lehighton. They just gave it to them.
Well, I think the lack of a conversation with the public and all the equity holders, which there's 64,000 equity stakeholders in that, and that's the residents of Carbon County. Because this may be the best thing since sliced bread. It might be the best use for it. And if it is, great.
But
let's have the conversation.
Let's have a voice at the table.
Yep. And we were blindsided by this.
Right. But then there's also what Mary Ann brought up. Seems to be, should you talk about
No, Mary Ann's going to be back, I think, at the commissioners next week, and she'll follow up.
Yeah, we'll follow up.
She'll follow up with questioning, and we'll talk to her to see what she finds out. But I did want to read just 2 or 3 lines from this. After subdivision approval has been obtained, that is by Lehighton, the county agrees to execute a deed conveying the 23 acres to the borough of Lehighton. So, more or less, as long as they get the subdivision plan done, that's breaking that 23 acres off from the remaining portion of Packard and Yards in Mahoning Township, then by default, it's a fait accompli. Right. It's going to take place.
Right.
The agreement is to be, I'm sure, made available on Facebook in the very near future. I'm going to wait till Mary Ann gets back and post that, or if she wants me to do it later, I'd be more than happy to, but I know they're going to be back in a few days, and then she'll make the decision since it was her RTK that took place.
Her right to know.
Yeah. It is our right to know.
Right.
All right. It's all about, didn't we see this editorial about the Jim Thorpe credit card saga continues? Do you want to talk to that for just a minute? Because you really found that one interesting. Wasn't this the one?
No.
That was extremely well written. The bottom line is, look, it's not resolved yet. The business manager is on paid leave. They're looking at, or are hiring, another set of eyes to look at the situation. But it is the sincere hope that this credit card issue can be resolved as quickly as possible. And if the Jim Thorpe School District needs a new business manager, that it gets done promptly so we can move forward. I think, and I did talk to a school official about 2 hours ago when you were downstairs. Well, I talked to 2 of them today, a board member and then, let me say, a senior official within the Jim Thorpe Area School District who will remain anonymous. But I think we agreed that with the 5 November election, if we can get through that and we can get this credit card issue behind us, we have a great opportunity to work together to move ahead. We kind of got bogged down here over the last year or so, and that is due to the serious issues. But it is time to, let's resolve the issue, let's be decisive, let's move forward, let's again get education up front on the conversation, and these administrative matters, let's get them behind us. Yeah. But again, with the appropriate oversight, accountability, and transparency that we have, as citizens, have been demanding through advocates that have been fighting on our behalf. So thanks all who have been involved in that process. If you're just joining us, it's Carbon Matters live streaming. And as I'd like to say, if it matters to you, it matters to me. I'm Chris Lukasevich, candidate for Carbon County Commissioner. I'm joined every 2 weeks by my wife and co-host Maggie, and I'm joined more than just every 2 weeks by you. You're here all the time, but
Right.
here in this forum, in this medium,
Right.
right, it's like every 2 weeks. Not to think like you're somewhere and all of a sudden you show up every 2 weeks
Right.
just to spend time with me for 1 hour, and then you go back to your studio or wherever you go. Remember, not too long ago, we had the lieutenant governor running around through all 67 counties talking about legalization.
marijuana. Yeah.
So PA governor gives support for legalizing marijuana. I don't shy away from any subject. I'll tell you where I stand on every subject, every issue, every matter. If I feel I need to do more research before I can give you a solid answer, I will also say that. I am not for legalizing marijuana. I agree with the Drug Enforcement Administration. It is a gateway drug. I see us having significantly more problems with driving while under the influence of marijuana than we had with DWIs. I think it's a bad move for the state to even consider legalizing it. I know the Republican-controlled legislator is opposed to it, so I don't think it's really going to go anywhere in Pennsylvania. What I think Governor Wolf is going to propose, just like he tried to blackmail reopening of Glen-Oco for a tax on the fracking, I think what he's going to say, well, if you want property or school tax elimination, we're going to use all the tax revenue generated from legalizing marijuana. And we know how well that had happened, how well that had worked previously with gambling in Pennsylvania. That was supposed to reduce the burden of property taxes on us. So I don't see it happening. No. Again, it's a red herring. It's not a red herring, but again, it's a panacea that they're going to say that doesn't really exist. Give us legalized marijuana and tax money, and all your property tax problems will disappear. I doubt it.
No.
All right. Yeah. So sorry.
Nicole, you had thumbs down. Does that mean you agree with Chris that thumbs down for marijuana being legalized?
Yeah.
Or
and this is recreational use. This isn't medical, because on medical marijuana, while I have some concerns with its control and regulation, I understand there are many people who would provide some level of relief, comfort,
yes,
and don't want anyone suffering unnecessarily.
Right.
Mostly if we can get them short of opioids, right?
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? So absolutely. So recreational use and as a medicine or as a prescription drug are two different things. But there are challenges with marijuana also as a prescription drug. We see with opioids the abuse and the black market.
The black market,
right.
That's the thing. That people get the prescription, then they sell it for more money.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of the reason why they should have it is for their pain.
That's right.
Or their,
Yeah. And again, you will just see a replay of the opioid problem, but obviously with not the same not as significant as disastrous effect, I would say. Back to wind turbines. It's 29 October.
She's an ICU nurse and on the front lines of the opioid crisis. Often starts with marijuana.
Well, thank you for that. So there you have someone on the front lines giving their perspective.
Right.
Now, I saw the cocaine problem primarily on the front lines from the source zone where it was grown, then to the interdiction, right, what we call the transit zone, air, maritime, and ground movement through Central America, through the Caribbean, by boat, by air, and through the Pacific. All comes in. Over 90% of the cocaine coming into the United States comes across the U.S.-Mexican border. Obviously, it's being grown down in the Andean Ridge in South America.
And Nick said, I agree with that, thumbs up, but there are other ways, medically speaking, I believe, to relieve your pain, like CBD products.
CBD, are they natural products?
It's a hemp-based.
A hemp-based product?
I think.
Okay. Yeah, and again, you have to separate hemp.
Well,
and it's the
I
way
don't know
they're
enough
utilized.
about it, but okay.
There is a differentiation.
Yeah. Wow.
Whoa, how about this? It says the building project officially closed out. Commissioners,
right.
okay,
I know.
payments for work already done.
I know.
Now, I believe it was 40-some thousand, let's see.
You said-
Yep, it was 40-some $1,000. We talked about this.
It was
I
posted
posted
on
this on Facebook.
Facebook, yeah.
Interesting, they officially close out the project, but I encourage you to watch the commissioners' meeting from today. It ain't as closed out as you think it is, right? Because again, I'm hoping Mary next week is going to make some more comments or question the commissioners on this specific issue. Because again, they are continuing these machinations with working with the architect for that old archives building, chopping off the second floor, putting a roof on it, creating office space. Hey, drop it, suspend it until about January 7th or 8th when the new Board of Commissioners are in place. Because right now, you're wasting time, money, and effort. That is my position. And when we say they finally closed it out, there was some work that was done once the contracts were let. Contractors started doing things, and therefore
They were paid for the work.
For the work they were done until it was suspended or quote unquote canceled. All right. So we're really moving along here. This is Carbon Matters live streaming. I'm Chris Lukasiewicz, candidate for Carbon County
Zach
Commissioner.
said, just design. They
Right. Right. I love that. Just design. Yep. I'm sure. Oh, and Zach had some good comments today on the live streaming.
Oh,
I read them after the fact because I
Okay.
downloaded it because
Yeah.
now I have to take it and
I
boost
haven't
it back
watched
up.
it yet myself. I will probably do it tomorrow.
Well, it was good. It only lasted about 25 minutes.
Okay.
Had a couple public comments that were raised, but I think if nothing else, those comments are worth watching. Bear in mind, if tomorrow morning you're going to be having some coffee, you should consider in the future Cafe Ruiz, right? RuizCoffee.com, RuizCoffee.com, the official sponsor of C4, Chris for Carbon County Commissioner, and my campaign, right, to make a difference for the citizens of Carbon County, which includes my family. So I do have a personal stake in the matter, right? Time, money, and effort, and of course, family.
Right.
All right. Oh. Probably the biggest news that came out of the last 2 weeks, KME cutting 15%. So
Right, 70.
KME, we refer to it primarily as Kovach, right? Which is actually owned by Rev Group. Rev Group has owned it now for, I think it's about 2 years or so. Cut another 70 individuals. Now remember when they first came in, there were some job cuts also. So we see a continuing trend here of downsizing up at KME. That is in the top 5 employers of the county. My examination of Rev Group when they were looking at the purchase or the purchase was announced, they seemed to always hold on to the companies they buy. But one observation I saw compared to Kovach or KME was that it seemed like all the plants or manufacturing facilities they had seemed to be a bit more modern, much more efficient in design and layout. And my concern
Closer
is
to transportation.
hubs and things like that. So the concern is here, we know we are challenged with our location. We have this incredible beauty, but we are challenged to quick access, easy access, and every mile does matter to these companies.
Right.
So my fear is that if you're going to cut the fat, or when it's leanness, you're going to try to find greater effectiveness and efficiency, and you're not going to find it necessarily in a plant such as Kovach, where it's not a conveyor belt system, like the Ford manufacturing, right? At the turn of the 20th century, but rather, trucks are actually moved or driven or from plant to plant to do the add-ons and stuff like that. And I just don't see the investment being made in the Nesquehoning plant. Now, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope if elected, can engage with my fellow commissioners, the Carbon County Economic Development Chamber, stay engaged with the leadership of Rev Group to see how we can ensure the longevity of Rev Group in Carbon County, because it is so important to
Or
Carbon
at least
County.
until we can bridge to a new industry that can,
Right,
the information highway.
information highway, right? It's not about the auto highway, it's about the information highway today. I try to emphasize that all the time. So it doesn't matter if you're located right by I-80 or the Northeast Extension. If we have Google-like speed, well, there's so much you can do today.
Right.
And we are in close proximity to Philadelphia, New York City, yet you're in beautiful Carbon County.
Right.
You know,
What a
so
great place to be working from your home.
yeah, that's it. Right, that's right. But again, we're not going to do it on the speed we have here in our home. No. Nope, not going to happen. KME workers learn about their options. We already discussed that. I had a bunch of notes.
We thought that when our son moved out that we were going to increase in our speed because we thought he was sucking all the
the bandwidth.
Yeah.
No, not much better at all.
Darn.
I mean, it's not like it's Stiltgit, but nonetheless, it's not. And he did, within the first day he moved in, didn't he send us a snapshot of his speed? Which was so many times. Now he's in the Williamsburg area, Virginia, but their speed compared to ours, both upload and download, night and day.
Crazy.
Night and day. So I'm going to talk. We have about 15 or so minutes left. I do want to bring up the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railroad,
Okay.
the Reading and Blue Mountain Railroad, because there's some rumors going around. I think it's more than rumors that Mr. Mueller has threatened, or as part of a negotiation position has stated about the possibility of pulling his train service from Jim Thorpe due to the borough school district, a decision being made or discussed to levy the amusement tax on the trains that come through in Jim Thorpe and base out of Jim Thorpe. I suspect that the next Jim Thorpe Borough Council meeting we'll get a better idea of really what's going on. The amusement tax, while it is a borough tax, it's actually run and administered and collected by the school districts. That's where it actually goes to. And if you go into and Google Jim Thorpe Borough E-Code amusement tax, you'll go ahead and you'll be able to read up on the amusement tax here in the Jim Thorpe Borough. Now, let's say that tax is 75 cents and Mr. Mueller currently charges, let's say, $10. That would raise his prices to $10.75. Now, they're simply asking Mr. Mueller to collect this. So I had a discussion at the commissioners meeting after the fact today, and we said, well, I can see there is first and foremost the discussion, are the trains and the service they provide passenger service, or is it an amusement? And I think that can go two ways. The trains that originate outside of Carbon County, for example, Port Clinton, and bring folks into Jim Thorpe, to me, that's passenger service, regardless of what reason they're coming here for.
Regardless whether they get off or not.
And regardless of what they come here to do. Well, we know they're all coming for tourism, but again, I would make the argument, to me, that's a passenger train, passenger service. Now, I think that case is extremely difficult to make if you're going to say the trains that originate in Jim Thorpe go up the Lehigh Gorge and come back
70 minutes later.
Right, is not amusement. Again, that's my reading of the amusement tax and the definitions associated with that. But again, I think we need to have the conversation and discussion, is it an amusement? Is it not? If it's an amusement, well then, just like anyone else, it should be taxed. But if it doesn't meet the legal definition of an amusement, well then, that service should not be taxed.
But again, I think part of it is he has a sense or a feeling like he doesn't have a voice. I mean, the only thing he can do is take his trains and go home. Someone needs to be talking to him, like, or working things out.
We don't think they're going to have negotiations?
Well, no, not negotiations, but just talking about it and seeing that there's a fair, like there's fairness going on. Like you
Well,
said,
I would say fair and transparent.
Yeah, fair and transparent.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
yeah, but this was we had the discussion with a county official today after the meeting, and we said he charges $10. He's asked to collect, let's say, a 75-cent amusement tax fee on each ticket. Well, if he just rounded up to $11, he's now making a quarter on every person. That would be almost equal up to about $35,000 a year, because he has 144,000 passengers that, I'm calling them passengers, tourists, it depends, right? I have 144 PAX, that's the term we use in the military, PAX, P-A-X, right? It's like personnel, 144,000. Add a quarter onto each of those, right? That'd be an additional $35,000 in revenue a year for the railroad, if you just round it up.
maybe he feels like he's maxed out at what people are willing
Well,
to
no,
pay.
and that's the point. That's right. There's a point at which people will say it's too
Too
much.
much. Right.
Again, though, that's about how much. What does it cost to park downtown, right?
$10.
I would say that train ride at $10.
That's a
Bargain. If it's still 10, and that's not the specials, that's the regular, right? That's a bargain. And I'll tell you, it is very important to this community, those trains.
Is.
It is a giant draw. We have great guys and gals who are working down there to support that.
They're so dedicated.
Yep.
They're never late. Like, they're always there. Great
the
attitude.
trains run on time.
Yes.
That's like Italy under Mussolini, right?
Right. But they have great attitude.
Yep.
Everyone always comes away feeling like they got their money worth.
So it's definitely a great asset. So we want to do everything we can ensure that asset remaans here.
Yes, like
yet there's fairness when it comes to levying of the amusement tax.
That's what I'm talking about. Like being more on task.
All right. Hey, the Whitehaven Center, that's the Center for individuals with intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities up there in Whitehaven. I did get the word of the employees, 40 of them are Carbon County residents. So that eventual closure that, again, many people are fighting, both family members, employees are fighting, it does and will have an economic impact on Carbon County.
I thought that it was getting looked at.
The plan is to close it. There's a resistance movement. The plan is to close it.
All right.
The decision's been made to close it. Now they're trying to fight the closure of that. Now, I don't yet have the number, and I've asked for the number of residents at Whitehaven Center that are Carbon County were Carbon County residents, but are now in that
or have families.
Or have family members there. That's right.
Carbon County
residents. Right. Because I think that's important to know how that closure impacts us, Carbon County. And that's just one point, is the economic one, the Whitehaven Center.
Because any of the people that have families that live in Carbon County, they're going to maybe come home to them, or
they're going to and that's part of the conversation.
Right.
Where do these individuals live?
Do we have the resources to help them out?
That's right. Yep. So a lot of things going on there. Today I had the opportunity to go do the St. Luke ceremony, really, which was convocating.
Was it the groundbreaking?
The groundbreaking for St. Luke's Hospital. Really interesting. This is only the third groundbreaking ceremony in Carbon County for a hospital. The first one was in 1907 by the Palmer Company, right? The owners of the zinc. So the Palmer did. 1947, Ganada Hutton. And now, 2019, for St. Luke's, to have this regional hospital. If I recall, St. Luke's now has 24 different facilities in Carbon County. Right now, they're at about 800 employees, and they're going to move up to 1,000, up to between 800 and 1,000 is what we're going to see eventually. They're thinking about 2 years to get that particular facility up and running. So should have a good impact.
Those aren't necessarily Carbon County residents that are their employees, though. That's
not at this time. That's right. A lot of from Lehigh Valley and stuff like that. Yeah. Right. So again, though, you know, the hope and the expectation is people who work here eat here. They potentially shop here. They run in. I mean, again.
PJ Willihan's is
right. PJ's, and you guys will start expanding, right? Right. That outdoor deck needs to double or whatever.
They have much more room to expand.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But that mountain behind them, I don't know if
I don't know if that's there. But yeah, PJ's is in a perfect,
which is great for them because they're a wonderful restaurant,
Yep, nope, that's really good.
Great waitresses, wait staff,
Yep. So this past week, although I'm not going to talk much details, last Thursday night, met with the corrections officers and representatives of the Carbon County Correctional Facility. Had a great conversation, and also had this Teamster rep, business manager was there also. He was highly encouraging to get participation. So it was great to have that conversation from a corrections officer perspective of the prison. Now, I do go to the board meetings. I've started live streaming. I actually have to record them, then push them out because there's no connectivity up there on the Broad Mountain in the prison. But again, it was great to have that conversation. And if elected in January, the issues that we discussed, we will bring to light as quickly as possible. Some good, some challenges there also. But that was a great conversation.
Yeah, a lot of issues.
No dead air, right? We're not allowed to have dead air. Gosh. I paused for saying no dead air. Dead air is not allowed, right? What's the worst thing on radio?
Dead air, yeah.
Dead air, right?
I'm a little bit tired tonight, so I'm not my 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I was up really early this morning, like really early.
If you weren't my wife, I would say something like, no, buttercup. Right, but you're my wife, and I love you, and I know you're tired. You were up early before I got up at 4. You were already up. You weren't the one who woke me up, were you?
I was up at 3.
But I think it was at 4 when I popped up.
3:04.
Okay, yep. All right, so I did want to talk to the fact that Ruiz Coffee, RuizCoffee.com is the official sponsor of C4. I'm Chris Lukasiewicz, candidate for Carbon County Commissioner. If I understand, I need to say that at least 21 times. So it sticks in people's mind. So we're getting close. So if we can fit in 18 more before we finish here tonight. But again, you're waking up in the morning, you're looking for some great coffee, Ruiz Coffee. Absolutely. And you can take it out of your official C4 mug also. Oh, talking about swag before I finish up with the 28 October event, right? The most recent tranche or order of C4 shirts came in. The majority of them, all the pre-orders were distributed. Right. We're in our fall C4 shirts, full length, right? Full back.
I don't know, my arms are like T-Rex arms because look at this.
Right, it's good if you don't have gloves and you're out in the right. But look at this, and this is what I love about these at Lehigh Valley Apparel. Right, look, that's a full 12 to 13 inch full back. Now this is, I think, the extra large, this one. So we have 1 extra large, 10 large, 1 medium short sleeve, and 1 small V-neck short sleeve. That's more like summer-like, but so we have about 12 or 13 of them that remain. So if you are interested, the remaining ones are a flat $20. The pre-orders were done at 15, except for those that were being mailed out, which went for 20. And we can't wait to see our buddy up in Alaska when he's sporting his C4.
We're hoping he sends us a photo.
Yeah, but strangely though, he did order the short sleeve shirt. Now, and I know this isn't his first winter up there.
It is.
You know, he got there in January.
Right.
Or something.
I mean.
Yeah. But nonetheless, thank you for your support up in Alaska.
His PJs.
Right, okay. But again, the C4 shirts are in, they are available. You know, just private message me, give me a phone call at 570-503-6780, and we'll get a shirt to you. The last week and a half, 2 weeks now, I have been out canvassing. Primarily, I've been focused on the northern tier so far. I was up in Tresco, Beaver Meadows, Weatherly, Lehigh, Luzanne, that area, kind of across the border from Whitehaven. I'll be getting that a little bit later. I'm coming down a little bit to the, what do you see? Yeah, all right. I'm coming more down into the center of the county. I have been doing Jim Thorpe in the afternoons, though. Yeah. From 3 to 6 has been Jim Thorpe focused, so I don't have to drive back up north. But great warmth up there, except for, I think, 2 people. And I will not put their address or names out on the block. Don't do it. No, I wouldn't. I'd never do it. But I'm saying I wouldn't. But they just didn't want to have a conversation, and they were a little, I don't want to say not very welcoming, but that was uncharacteristic of the people I engaged with up there. It was overwhelmingly a great experience, great conversations. I came away from every afternoon at the end of the day. I was just so happy how well I was pretty pumped up with the support up there. So thanks for Tresco, Beaver Meadows, Weatherly, and the few folks on the outskirts that I hit while I was just moving around down there with the C4 mobile. Yeah, so those were great engagements. Signs are slowly going up. I have the majority of my 4x8s up, 4 foot by 8 foot. We still have about 7 or 8 more. They are programmed to go in certain strategic locations to have that significant pack, that boom. Have hundreds of 2x3s, 24 by 36 that will be going out. We started kind of in Jim Thorpe. We started pushing out a little bit, placing them here and there strategically. The individuals who are hosting them or have them adjacent to their properties, thank you so much for your receptiveness. If you see a problem with the signs, they're 1 or 2 degrees off, plumb or anything, just give me a shout. I will stop by if you don't want to go ahead and correct it yourself. 503-6780. Yeah, just give me a call or drop me an email. Yep.
Or text.
Yep. Or text 570-503-6780, and I will get by, or I'll get someone to come by and straighten that sign up. I tend to be a little bit of a stickler for those signs. I'm getting in and out of my vehicle, just changing them just a little bit, you know. Is that anal? Yeah. You know, and when Larry and I were out there, we were actually out there using our levels for level, for plumb, the whole deal when we were putting them up. But again, Mother Nature tends to have a way with those. But again, a lot more signs to go out. If you are in a high traffic area and you'd like a C4 sign, 2x3, 24 by 36, those are 2-sided. Let me know. We'll come out, look at it, and if it makes sense and fits within the plan, because I do hold some in reserve for sites that all of a sudden someone says, hey, I have a great location that for some reason we've overlooked, even though we've been through all 23 municipalities and covered all 400 and some square miles of this county. There's always those places that you do miss.
And Jimmy said he's got his. Thanks again.
Thank
you, Jimmy.
Right, no kidding.
For putting them up.
Because that is, you know, Jimmy, to me, that's in the heart of darkness. It's in the heart of Indian country up there. We did get a few more up there. Ty was another one who got one up. And then you got Michelle out in Lehigh, Tyree. Then you got out in Lehigh, Luzanne area. You got them out there. Going out the Plains Road. Going out there, we got some. So we're getting them even into Indian country. So I appreciate that. And no bullet holes in them yet, Jimmy, and no one's driven over them. So kudos. And Jimmy has 2 up there at his place. So thank you.
Jimmy.
He's one of our most stalwart supporters from up there in the northern tier.
Zach said they lost a connection. He lost the connection at the end. Good stream. Have a great night.
Oh, okay.
Well, Zach, Sorry.
Sorry, yep.
Sorry, missed
All
you.
right, so in the last couple minutes here, we got about 2 or 3 minutes. Again, if you're just joining us, wow, you're late. but nonetheless, you can watch it later. This is Carbon Matters live stream, and I'm Chris Lukasevich, candidate for Carbon County Commissioner. Let me thank you so much for joining me. Did get word unofficially. I got an unofficial invitation to participate in a debate on 28 October. The debate starts at 7 p.m. up at Penn's Peak on the Maury Road in Jim Thorpe. Now, I also understand, though, that the candidates that are being invited are also going to have an opportunity to set up like a table inside Penn's Peak, and I suspect, so really things will probably start around 6 o'clock up there.
The door's always open at least an hour and a half.
Yeah,
usually.
yeah. So
Yeah.
tables will be set up so you can come up, buy some swag, meet the candidates, things of that nature. Now, I made the statement that right now, Bob Jacobs, Rocky Arner, Jerry Strubinger, myself, Chris Lukasevich, and Wayne Notestein, we've earned the right, we've earned the privilege of receiving your votes to be on that debate stage on 28 October. However, there's one individual who clearly didn't earn that right to be on that stage. But as I said on Facebook, and I understanding there was consideration of him for the debate, hey, I welcome him. Bring him on there, make him face the music, make him finally not be able to lean on the Solicitor Dan Miscavige, Commissioners Wayne Notestein, or Commissioner Bill Gort, and stand up and say something other than no comment, right? Because that has been a frustration.
Or I agree with
Wayne, that was the 2011 debate. It was all I agree with.
Right.
But again, if they feel the sponsors, Blue Ridge Cable, Times News, which more or less are the same folks, it's all PennCorp, and CCEDC, Carbon Chamber and Economic Development Corporation, they want to invite Tommy, I encourage it. Go ahead, bring him on stage. Let's put the final nail in the coffin. Now, should they decide not to invite him, or should the decision be made that his attendance is not in the best interest of the voters of Carbon County? I support that. Again, I'm simply been invited. It is my expectation at this time to be there and to have another discussion with the citizens of Carbon County. I do want to say something about signs, and that's what I'm going to finish on in the last minute. Okay. Because I do not place a sign
You're not doing your two...
Yes,
okay.
But it should be over there. But could you run over and let me grab it?
I'll do it.
Okay, there should be the vision flyer should be over there. I truly believe, and if you're going to place a sign, you absolutely have to ask permission from the landowner or adjacent landowner. And I did send one. There's a gentleman, Mr. Peterson, who owns the property at the base of the Broad Mountain on the Nesquehoning, right at the cross there.
Right.
And I had asked permission during the primary, and I resent him a letter asking for permission again to place my sign right there at the base of the Broad Mountain. I think any of you guys who come down the Broad, stop at the stop sign, you look up and see Chris Lukasevich. Mr. Peterson emailed me October 3rd, 2019. At 4:24, subject sign approval. And this was addressed to me, Chris Lukasevich. Please accept this email as authorization to place a campaign sign on my property in Carbon County. You are also authorized to approve the placement of other candidates' signs that you approve of. You may also take action to remove other unauthorized signs. I apologize for the belated response. Sincerely, Chris Peterson. So I want to thank Mr. Peterson, one, for responding back to my formal request, just like he did in the primary. And I believe that is important. If we're going to place signs,
be respectful.
Be respectful of private property rights, right?
Are you going to remove any signs?
If there's if there's a non-candidate in there, I think it should be removed. But no, all the nominees, their signs should be there. I personally don't have a problem with it. You know, now if there's an individual who's not a nominee, I don't think that sign should be there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my position. But, you know, again, I thank Mr. Peterson for having that faith and support in me. All right, so real quick, we're going to go to the last two of tonight, for tonight, the day one propositions, of which there are 24 of them. And we're going to go to number 9 and number 10. Mm-hmm. So number 9 is the requirement for posting and publication of all minutes, of all approved minutes of the Board of Commissioners no later than 48 hours after approval. So what happens is you have a commissioner meeting today. Next Thursday, they'll approve them. What I want to see, as soon as those are approved, I want to see them hung up on the web so everyone can see the minutes. Okay. It's just post it. They're hanging them on the web, posting them on the web. Absolutely, or on Facebook, whatever medium we're going to use.
Again, so if you can't watch the live stream, or if you can't be there in person, you can, or if you need to reference something in writing,
you can review the minutes.
Review the minutes.
Yeah, and the county hasn't been terrible about the minutes. There have been some delays, but they do okay. They do okay. But we can be more stringent on it and enforce that. And that goes along with, again, just like 48 hour priors, I want the agendas. All right, and number 10, what I'd like to do is see a contract. I would like the Director of Veterans Affairs, Carbon County. I know there can be at times backlog in serving our 5,399 veterans, third largest veteran population in the state of Pennsylvania by percentage. I would like to see that during those extremely high times when veterans are in there, and there is a cycle to when veterans are coming in seeking benefits and help and assistance, that they could do a 1099, which is basically bringing a contractor for a limited number of hours to get through that quickly. Again, we spend anywhere from $23,000 to $27,000 on each prisoner up in Carbon County Jail. We spend less than $23 on each on average on each veteran. So taking $5,000 to $10,000 a year to get a contracted, so it's an independent contractor, so they're not a government or county official, they get no benefits or entitlements, they don't even get a W-2 form, they get a 1099.
It's just to get through those high cycle times.
Right, so high cycle time. So if the new Director of Veterans Affairs think that's a need, she assesses that. I'll be her strongest advocate to make that happen, and I'll be proposing that on day one, that we conduct that assessment so we can move forward. So again, I want to thank you for joining us. I apologize for us running just a little bit long tonight. I thought we were going to be 15 minutes before